So recently I've been re-listening to a bunch of bands and albums I enjoyed in middle school and early high school. In the process of doing this, I found myself reviewing the entirety of Hollywood Undead's discography. Part of the reason that Hollywood Undead was so memorable was that, to me, their music sounded like nothing I'd ever heard before. Their music was aggressive but poppy, and while they never explored emotional topics with any real level of depth or personality, their more emo-tinged music felt raw and bitter in a way that no other music had to me before. While this extremity in delivery and subject matter was appealing, the thing that really drew me to Hollywood Undead as a band was their earworm choruses. And while it's not controversial to say that Hollywood Undead is a much better band post Deuce's ousting, the news that Deuce had left the band was still extremely gutting to me as a young person. In anticipation for Deuce's solo music, I downloaded a mixtape off of an extremely ugly website and found myself quite enjoying a few of the songs. A lot of these songs would later find themselves on Deuce's first commercial album, 9 Lives. That being said, although I liked the songs at the time, I can't look back at the music as anything more than a guilty pleasure. So as the title suggests, the purpose of this video is to point out why Deuce's solo music just doesn't work for me. And although this video is critical in nature, I don't want it to come off as dismissive or insulting. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. To start things off, I feel obligated to mention the most glaring problem with Deuce's solo music, and that's his incredibly weak pen game. As a musician, Deuce is a serviceable singer. However, the music he writes comes off as half-baked at best, and generally embarrassing at worst. This is most evident in his rudimentary rhyme schemes and strained delivery. It also should be said that Deuce's flexing over his rapping ability is embarrassing and somewhat humorous in its lack of self-awareness. Not to mention that Deuce's name-dropping of artists like Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly, Justin Bieber, and Hollywood Undead comes off as somewhat desperate. And I'm not saying Deuce shouldn't speak about Hollywood Undead or his experiences with the band and how he isn't friends with anybody anymore. I'm just saying that the execution of this leaves a lot to be desired. 9 Lives was pretty clearly Deuce attempting to replicate the success of Swan Songs and Hollywood Undead's earlier efforts. Where this effort falters, however, is in the general unevenness of all of the band members' talent. Gadget is terrible and has no redeeming qualities. Deuce's singing can be pleasant, however, he's not a very good songwriter at all. And generally the album only gets decent once they have guests like Jeffree Star and Ronnie Radke. And conventional wisdom says it's generally not a good idea to be outshined by your guest stars. And whenever guest stars come into this, I find myself thinking, man, they must really be hard up for money because I would not do this album for cheap. Personally, I find the 9 Lives album somewhat enjoyable. This is mostly due to nostalgia, but that's enough for me in this case. However, the same cannot be said for Deuce's album Invincible. Seriously, I'm pretty sure the chorus to World on Fire is considered a war crime in most countries. Deuce also has a problem with delivering lines that are incredibly silly in a straight-faced, earnest manner. If you wanted to be incredibly charitable toward Deuce's solo music, you could say it feels like an unfinished version of what would be on a hypothetical Hollywood Undead Swan Songs 2. Lack of creatively distancing himself from Hollywood Undead can also be seen in him continuing to wear the masks, long after the band has already discarded them. Even though this video is very critical in nature, I once again want to say, I don't hold anything against Deuce. Although I don't like his new stuff, I find the 9 Lives album and Swan Song still something I replay because of how much they meant to me as a young person. And although I don't enjoy his music now, I do enjoy the conversations that come with me and my friends talking about these albums. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.